While the world wasn't paying attention, Sweden was rebuilding one of Europe's most capable militaries. A nation famous for IKEA furniture, pop music, and 200 years of neutrality is now quietly arming itself faster than almost anyone else in Europe. Sweden's military story doesn't begin with neutrality, it begins with empire. 400 years ago, the kingdom was one of Europe's most feared powers. Under King Gustavus Adolphus, the Swedish army redefined warfare, introducing disciplined formations, mobile artillery, and lightning-fast logistics that even Napoleon admired. This was the Stormaktstiden, the Great Power era. From the 1600s to the early 1700s, Sweden controlled Finland, the Baltics, and slices of northern Germany. Its soldiers marched from Narva to Prague, reshaping the continent's balance of power. For a time, Sweden wasn't a quiet Nordic outpost. It was Europe's northern lion. But lions don't stay kings forever. The Great Northern War bled Sweden dry. By the 1800s, the empire had faded, yet something remarkable happened. Instead of collapsing into weakness, Sweden reinvented itself. After defeat by Russia and humiliation in the Napoleonic Wars, Sweden swore off offensive ambitions. But neutrality didn't mean naivety. The Swedes adopted a doctrine as elegant as it was pragmatic. Stay out of wars, but always be ready for one. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, Sweden turned neutrality into an art form. It avoided both world wars through diplomacy and deterrence. While its neighbors relied on alliances, Sweden built fortresses, trained reserves, and armed its civilians. Every man knew his mobilization post. Every bridge, every tunnel, every mountain pass could be defended or destroyed within hours. By the time the Cold War dawned, Sweden was officially neutral, but in practice, it was a fortress hiding in plain sight. Behind that neutral smile, Sweden was packing heat. During the Cold War, it fielded one of the largest and most technologically advanced militaries per capita in the world. Its defense industry, Saab, Bofors, and Kockums, became a trinity of innovation. Saab's Draken and Viggen fighters were marvels of Scandinavian engineering, supersonic jets capable of taking off from highways and operating from forest clearings. Bofors produced legendary artillery that NATO armies still envy. Kockums designed submarines so quiet that US Navy officers later admitted they disappeared off sonar like ghosts. The entire nation was built for resilience. Sweden dug thousands of bunkers into mountains, maintained stockpiles for years of isolation, and developed total defense, a concept uniting military and civilian readiness. If the Soviets invaded, they wouldn't just face an army, they'd face an entire country that refused to surrender. And here's the twist. Though officially outside NATO, Sweden's intelligence quietly coordinated with Western allies. Its radar networks and air defense systems fed data to the West. Neutral on paper, but NATO in practice. Then came the 1990s. The Soviet Union collapsed and Sweden breathed out. Bases were closed, conscription suspended, and the once mighty army shrank to a shadow of itself. Politicians talked of peace dividends. For a while, it worked until 2014. When Russia annexed Crimea, the illusion of safety vanished overnight. Suddenly, unidentified submarines were spotted near Stockholm. Fighter jets scrambled over the Baltic as Swedish radar picked up suspicious intrusions. The old instincts kicked in. The Swedes didn't panic. They started preparing. Neutrality no longer felt like protection. It felt like exposure. In less than a decade, Sweden has pulled off a military revival that would make Gustavus Adolphus proud. Defense spending has skyrocketed, increasing by more than 130% since 2020. Conscription is back. The armed forces are doubling recruitment and expanding bases from Gotland to Kiruna. The crown jewel is the JAS-39 Gripen, one of the most advanced multi-role fighters in the world. Built for rapid turnaround, it can take off from a 500-meter stretch of road and be refueled by a crew of 5 in 10 minutes. It's cheap to run, hard to jam, and devastating in combat, engineered to outthink rather than outspend larger rivals. Beneath the Baltic, the new A-26 Blekinge-class submarines patrol in near silence, equipped with air-independent propulsion that lets them stay submerged for weeks. On land, new Archer artillery systems, Leopard 2 tanks, and advanced air defenses form the backbone of a force built for one mission: defend the homeland. Sweden isn't preparing to invade anyone, it's preparing to make invasion impossible. For over 2 centuries, neutrality defined Sweden's identity. That ended in 2023. When Sweden joined NATO, it wasn't just a policy shift, it was a historic transformation. For the first time since Napoleon marched through Europe, Swedish defense was officially tied to foreign allies. Now, Sweden is part of the alliance's northern shield, a chain of nations stretching from Norway to Finland, guarding the Arctic and the Baltic against any Russian ambition. The timing couldn't have been sharper. Russia's invasion of Ukraine had already rattled Europe, and Finland's swift entry into NATO sealed the deal. For Sweden, staying outside no longer looked like prudence, it looked like vulnerability. Inside the alliance, Sweden brings more than geography. It brings muscle. Its air force integrates seamlessly with Norway's F-35s. Its navy strengthens Denmark's control of the Danish Straits. Its Arctic troops train alongside Finland's veterans in sub-zero warfare. Together, they form one of NATO's most cohesive regional commands. And the geography? That's where Sweden's true power lies. Look at a map of Northern Europe. See that long, jagged coastline cutting into the Baltic Sea? That's Sweden, the geographic gatekeeper of Northern Europe. Whoever controls those waters controls access to the heart of the continent. At the center lies Gotland Island, often called the unsinkable aircraft carrier. It sits perfectly positioned between NATO territory and Russia's Kaliningrad exclave. If conflict ever erupted in the Baltics, Gotland would be the first domino. Sweden knows it, and that's why the island has been heavily fortified once again with air defenses, coastal artillery, and mechanized troops. Further north, Sweden's military presence stretches into the Arctic Circle, where melting ice is opening new shipping routes and resources. The Swedes train year-round in brutal conditions, frozen forests, blizzards, and weeks without sunlight. In this environment, speed and self-sufficiency means survival. The result is a force built for cold weather warfare, mountain operations, and rapid mobilization. This combination of terrain mastery and technology makes Sweden invaluable to NATO's defense network. It's not just another European ally, it's the northern anchor of the alliance. Here's where Sweden truly stands out. While most nations depend on imports, Sweden builds its own. From fighter jets to submarines, from precision shells to radar systems, this small country of just 10 million people punches far above its weight. Saab's engineering philosophy is pure pragmatism. Create weapons that are advanced but maintainable, deadly but affordable. The Gripen jet can operate from icy roads, be repaired in the field, and even run on biofuel blends. The same philosophy powers BAE Systems' Hägglunds, the maker of the CV-90 infantry fighting vehicle, a machine so reliable it's now used by a dozen NATO countries. Then there's Kockums, whose stealth submarines are renowned for their near invisibility. In 2005, during a joint exercise, a Swedish sub slipped past an entire US Navy carrier group undetected and sank it in simulated combat. American admirals were stunned. Sweden had built a submarine so quiet it could ghost through the Pacific. And the hits keep coming. Sweden's Bofors division developed precision munitions like the bonus shell, smart artillery that hunts tanks from the sky and has proven devastating on Ukrainian battlefields. That's the same tech lineage now embedded across NATO. Sweden doesn't need to shout about its weapons exports. The results speak for themselves. Sweden's modern defense strategy is as psychological as it is practical. It's called total försvaret, total defense. The idea is simple. Every citizen, every company, every system plays a role in national security. Civil defense drills are back. Emergency bunkers are being refurbished. Government agencies are training to keep power grids, hospitals, and data networks running even under cyber attack. In military terms, Sweden practices defense in depth. Instead of trying to stop an invader at the border, it plans to delay, disrupt, and destroy them across the landscape. Roads can become airstrips. Civilian ferries can convert into troop transports. The enemy might capture ground, but they'll never hold it. This doctrine is complemented by cutting-edge cyber capabilities and a fierce commitment to resilience. Sweden doesn't measure power by how loudly it roars. It measures power by how long it can endure. Quiet strength is its new weapon. There's even a cultural element to it. In a world where propaganda dominates, Sweden's strategy is rooted in trust between citizens and the state. The country's greatest defense isn't just its machines, it's its mindset. 400 years ago, Sweden's armies shaped Europe. 200 years ago, it stepped away from war to preserve peace. Today, it's come full circle, not to conquer, but to defend. Sweden has become NATO's northern sentinel, a nation whose silence hides unmatched preparedness. From the depths of the Baltic to the skies over Lapland, every part of its military exists to make one statement clear: neutrality was never weakness, it was patience. As Europe faces its most volatile era in generations, Sweden's reawakening sends a quiet message to friend and foe alike. You don't have to be loud to be powerful, you just have to be ready. Because for centuries, Sweden survived by staying quiet. Now it's making sure the world knows silence doesn't mean weakness.